Jisoo built his empire on fear. Men disappeared when he spoke. The entire crime families bowed before him. But there was one name that still haunted him, the man who murdered his father and vanished before he could take revenge. Park Jinho, a man so brutal he locked his own wife away for 21 years and punished her every time his daughter disobeyed him. His daughter's name was Abena. Smart, beautiful, lethal. 4 times she tried escaping her father's prison. 4 times he caught her and made her mother bleed for it. But everything changed because of one auction, one fake painting, and 2 strangers who had no idea they were sworn enemies. Because the woman Jisoo was falling for was the daughter of the man he swore to destroy. And when Abena finally turns against her father, a war begins that will leave blood everywhere. But the real nightmare starts after Park Jinho is imprisoned, because he escapes. And this time, he's hunting his own daughter. Watch this till the end, because the plot twists are so insane. They'll make you choke on your coffee. And trust me, the final betrayal changes everything. The window didn't open all the way. Abena stood in her bedroom at 5:30 in the morning, pushing against the frame for the 7th time that month. It moved exactly 12 centimeters before the lock her father had installed caught and held. 12 centimeters. Just enough to let in air, but not enough to let out a person. She pressed her forehead against the glass and looked down at the compound below. 3 guards rotated through the night shift. The tall one was smoking by the gate. He always did at this hour, always in the same spot. Habits made people predictable. Predictable made them useless. Her father had taught her that. She pulled back from the window and moved through her morning routine in silence. Shower. With the door unlocked because locked doors in her own room made her father suspicious. Clothes chosen from the section of her closet he approved of. Dark colors. Nothing was tight. Nothing that drew attention. Hair pulled back, smooth and plain. No makeup except what made her look professional. She looked at herself in the mirror and practiced smiling. The smile needed to reach her eyes, but not look too happy. Happy daughters asked for things. Content daughters were easier to control. Her phone buzzed on the dresser. She picked it up and read the message. My office, 7 sharp. No good morning. No please. Just the expectation that she would be exactly where he wanted. Exactly when he wanted. Abena typed back, yes, father, and set the phone down. The door across the hallway opened quietly. Her mother stepped out in her morning robe, hair wrapped in the silk scarf she wore to sleep. Their eyes met. No words passed between them, but Amma touched her own chest, then pointed at Abena, their private signal. Are you okay? Abena nodded once. Amma didn't look convinced, but she smiled anyway, small and worried, then disappeared back into her room. The thing about living in a cage was that you stopped noticing the bars after a while. You just moved around them, planned your life in the spaces between metal. Abena had lived this way for so long that some mornings she forgot what she was missing. This was not one of those mornings. She had an assignment today. Busan, a charity auction full of rich people pretending to care about causes they would forget by Monday. Her job was simple: get information, smile at the right people, ask the right questions, come home with something her father could use. She was good at this work. Too good, probably. Every time she succeeded, he gave her harder tasks. Every time she completed those, he trusted her a little less. Success made him suspicious. Failure made him angry. There was no winning, only surviving. Abena walked downstairs at 6:55. The house was quiet, except for kitchen sounds from the staff preparing breakfast. She didn't eat with her father anymore, not since she was 16, and made the mistake of mentioning a boy from school. Not in a romantic way, just a mention, a name in a story. Her father had slapped the plate off the table and told her that girls who couldn't focus on important things didn't deserve to eat at his table. She took her meals in her room after that, His office door was open when she arrived. That was a good sign. Closed door meant he was already angry about something. Open door meant she had a chance of getting through this without damage. Park Jinho sat behind his desk, reading something on his tablet. He didn't look up when she entered. This was part of the performance. Make her wait. Make her stand there knowing she was being evaluated. Make her understand that even his attention was something she had to earn. Abena waited. 2 minutes passed, then 3. She kept her face neutral and her breathing even. At exactly 4 minutes, he looked up. You're going to Busan today. Yes, father. There's a charity auction at the Hongdae Grand. Many important families will be there. The Nakamura family is sending representatives. Abena nodded. She knew the Nakamura family. Japanese operations. Mostly legitimate on the surface, with deeper connections underneath. Her father had been trying to get information about their expansion plans for 6 months.
You will attend.
You will observe. You will be charming. He said the word, charming like it tasted bad in his mouth. The Nakamura son will be there, young, arrogant, likes to drink too much and talk too much. Get close to him. Find out what their family is planning in the southern ports. I understand. Do you? Jinho set down his tablet and looked at her properly. His eyes were cold, in the way that made her spine straighten automatically. Because the last time I sent you to gather information, you came back with half of what I needed. That had been 2 months ago. A business dinner in Seoul. She had gotten plenty of information, but apparently not the right information. I'll do better, Abena said. Yes, you will. He picked up a folder from his desk and held it out. She stepped forward and took it. Everything you need to know about the Nakamura family operations. Study it on the drive. Don't embarrass me. The threat hung in the air between them. Don't embarrass me. Don't fail. Don't make me regret keeping you around. I won't, Abena said. Your mother is feeling unwell today. His voice didn't change when he said it, but Abena's stomach dropped anyway. I told her you would visit her before you leave. Don't disappoint me. There it was, the leash. The reminder that even if Abena wanted to run, wanted to fail, wanted to burn every bridge her father had built, she couldn't. Because her mother was here. Because her mother's passport was locked in her father's safe. Because her mother's phone was monitored and her movements were tracked, and the only freedom she had was the small garden behind the house, where she grew plants that reminded her of Ghana. I'll see her now, Abena said quietly. Jinho waved his hand in dismissal. She turned and walked out, folder tucked under her arm, heart beating too fast. Her mother wasn't unwell. That was just code. Code for remember what you have to lose. Code for I'm watching. Code for behave. Abena found Amma in the garden like she knew she would. Her mother was kneeling in the dirt between rows of tomatoes and peppers, hands dark with soil. She looked up when Abena approached, and her face broke into a smile that made Abena's chest hurt. There you are, Amma said in Twi, their private language. I was hoping you'd come before you left. Abena knelt beside her mother in the dirt. She didn't care that her pants were expensive or that she'd have to change before leaving. This was worth it. Father said you weren't feeling well. Amma laughed, short and bitter. Your father says many things. I'm fine, baby. Just the usual. She reached out and touched Abena's face with dirty fingers, leaving a smudge on her cheek. You look tired. I'm okay. Liar. But Amma said it gently. She went back to her planting, fingers moving carefully around delicate roots. Big assignment today? Just another auction. Rich people buying expensive things to feel good about themselves. And you have to smile and pretend to be impressed. That's the job. Amma was quiet for a moment, patting soil around a seedling. 21 years, she said finally. 21 years. I've been in this country. And I still don't understand why people need 10 cars and 5 houses. Because they can have them. That's reason enough for some people. Your grandmother would have laughed at all of it. She raised 7 children in a house smaller than your father's office. We were happy. Amma sat back on her heels and looked at the garden around them. I miss that. I miss being happy in small spaces. Abena didn't know what to say to that. Her mother didn't usually talk about Ghana, about before. It hurt too much. Tell me about grandmother, Abena said instead. Amma's face softened. She was fierce, loud. She could make you feel ashamed of yourself with just a look, but then she'd feed you anyway, because no one should go to bed hungry, even if they were being stupid. She smiled. She would have loved you. She wouldn't have understood your father, but she would have loved you. Why did you marry him? The question came out before Abena could stop it. She'd asked before, but never got a real answer. Amma's hands stilled in the dirt. I thought I was being smart. He was successful, ambitious, handsome in a cold sort of way. My family thought it was a good match. His family thought I would give them something exotic to talk about at parties. She laughed, but there was no humor in it. I thought I was building a bridge between worlds. Turns out I was just building a cage. Ioma, it's okay, baby. I made my choice. But you. Amma turned and gripped Abena's hands, getting dirt all over them both. You still have choices to make. Promise me you won't let him steal all of them. Abena looked at her mother's face, at the lines around her eyes that hadn't been there in old photographs, at the grey threading through her black hair, at the way she held herself small even here in her own garden. I promise, Abena whispered. Good. Amma released her hands and reached into her pocket. She pulled out a pair of earrings, small golden hoops with delicate patterns etched into them. Wear these today. Ioma, these are yours, grandmother's, which is why I want you to have them. They've survived worse than charity auctions and difficult men. They'll keep you safe. Abena took the earrings and put them on carefully. They were warm from her mother's pocket. Be smart today, Amma said. Be careful. Come home safe. I will. And Abena, if you ever get a chance to run, really run, don't think about me. Just go. I would never leave you. I know. That's what worries me. Amma kissed her forehead and went back to her planting. Conversation over. Abena stood and walked back to the house. She changed her pants, checked her bag 3 times and walked out to the car, waiting by the gate. The driver nodded at her, but didn't speak. No one who worked for her father spoke to her unless necessary. They'd learned that getting friendly with Park Jinho's daughter was a good way to lose their job. The drive to Busan took 3 hours. Abena spent the first hour reading through the folder. Nakamura family details, business holdings, known associates, potential weaknesses. She memorized names and faces and connections until they blurred together in her mind. The second hour she spent watching the city give way to highway, give way to coastline. Korea was beautiful when you bothered to look at it. She didn't bother most of the time. Beauty felt dangerous when you couldn't keep it. The third hour she spent thinking about her mother's words. If you get a chance to run, don't think about me. Abena had tried to run 4 times. 4 times. 4 times. He'd planned and prepared and gathered courage like stones in her pockets. Every time they caught her. Every time. Her father's punishment wasn't aimed at her. The first time she was 16. She'd made it all the way to Accra before his men found her at a bus station. They didn't hurt her. They just brought her home in silence. When she walked into the house, her father was having dinner. He looked up from his plate and said, "Your mother will not eat tomorrow." And she didn't. He locked her in her room for 24 hours with nothing but water, while Abena sat outside the door crying. The second time, she was 18. Fake passport. 3 days of careful planning. They caught her at the airport. This time, her mother lost phone privileges for a month. No calls to her family in Ghana. No contact with the outside world at all. The third and fourth times ended the same way. After the fourth, Abena stopped trying to run outward and started planning inward instead. She would become so skilled, so valuable, so necessary that eventually she'd construct her own exit on her own terms. She was 20 now, still waiting for that opening, still building towards something she couldn't quite see. The car pulled up to the hotel at exactly 2 in the afternoon. The auction started at 4. Abena had 2 hours to prepare, to transform herself from Park Jinho's disappointing daughter into whatever this assignment needed her to be. She checked into her room using the card her father's assistant had prepared. The room was nice but not excessive. Her father didn't believe in wasting money on comfort. The view looked out over Hongdae beach, where tourists were scattered across the sand like scattered rice. Abena showered and changed into the dress she'd packed. Black, simple, elegant without being flashy. The kind of dress that let you disappear into a crowd of wealthy people while still looking like you belonged. She put on minimal makeup and her mother's earrings. Her armor was in place. At 3:45, she went downstairs to the ballroom where the auction was being held. The space was already filling with people in expensive clothes, carrying champagne glasses like accessories. Abena took a glass from a passing server and positioned herself near the back wall where she could watch the room. She spotted the Nakamura family quickly. They traveled in a pack, 4 people clustered near the front. The son was easy to identify. Mid-20s, loud laugh, already on his second drink. Perfect target. Abena was calculating her approach when someone stopped beside her, not in front of her, trying to get her attention. Not bumping into her accidentally, stopping in the space next to her and saying nothing. This was unusual. Men at these events always had an opening line ready, some comment about her dress or her beauty, or how she looked lonely, standing by herself. They performed interest like a script. This man just stood there, looking at the painting on the wall behind the auction items. Abena glanced over. He was tall and Korean, probably late 20s. He wore a dark suit that fit him properly without being showy. His face was composed, focused on the painting with genuine attention. She looked at the painting too. Large, modern, lots of aggressive brushstrokes that were supposed to look passionate but mostly looked messy. "It's fake," she said. He turned his head and looked at her. His eyes were dark and direct. "I know." "Then why are you looking at it?" "I'm trying to figure out why they thought they could get away with it." Abena looked at the painting again, closer this time. "The signature's wrong. The original artist used a specific brush for signing, very thin. This one's too thick." "You know art." "I know forgeries." "I've seen enough of them." He smiled, small and quick. "That's a depressing skill to have." "The most useful skills are." She hadn't meant to say that. It just came out, honest and unfiltered in a way that made her nervous. She didn't do honest at these events. Honest was dangerous, but he just nodded like she'd said something reasonable. "I'm Jisoo, no last name." "Interesting." "Abena, also no last name." They stood there for a moment, in comfortable silence, both looking at the fake painting. "So, are you here to buy overpriced art for a good cause, or are you avoiding someone?" Jisoo asked. "Can't it be both?" "Fair point. I'm avoiding about 8 people myself." "Only 8? You're not trying hard enough." He laughed, actually laughed, and it sounded genuine. "How many are you avoiding?" Abena did a quick count of the room. 12, maybe 15, if you count the people I don't want to meet in the first place. "That's impressive. We should compare lists. Make sure we're not avoiding the same people." "That would be awkward." "Why would that be awkward?" "Limited hiding spaces. We'd have to share." Abena felt something strange happening to her face. It took her a second to recognize it. She was smiling, not the practice smile she used for assignments. A real one. "You make a habit of hiding with strangers?" she asked. "Only the ones who can spot forgeries. It shows good judgment. Or suspicious minds. Also good judgment in places like this." The auction was starting. People were moving toward their seats. Abena should have been moving too, positioning herself near the Nakamura son, starting her work. Instead, she stayed exactly where she was. Do you actually care about any of this? Jisoo gestured at the auction setup, the expensive items on display, the people preening in their seats. No, Abena said honestly. Do you? Not even a little bit. I'm here because someone thought I should make an appearance, show my face, pretend to care about whatever cause this is supporting. Children's literacy, Abena said. The cause is children's literacy. See, you care more than me already. You at least know what we're supposedly here for. I read the invitation. That's not caring, that's being prepared. Being prepared is underrated. He looked at her properly then. Not just glancing, but actually looking. You're not what I expected. What did you expect? I don't know. Someone more interested in the actual auction, maybe. Someone who came here to actually buy things. I don't buy things at auctions, Abena said. I just watch people who do and wonder why anyone needs a 5th vacation home. 7th, Jisoo corrected. The people here are on their 7th vacation homes minimum. That's depressing. Most true things are. He'd turned her own words back on her. Abena found herself smiling again. The auctioneer was talking now, introducing the first item. Something about a vintage watch with historical significance. People were bidding with little paddles, driving the price up in increments that could feed a family for months. This is unbearable, Jisoo said quietly. Completely. Want to get out of here? Abena turned to look at him fully. I don't even know you. You know I can spot a forgery and I hate auctions. That's a solid foundation. That's barely an introduction. Fine. What else do you want to know? She thought about it. Why are you really here? His expression shifted slightly, something careful sliding behind his eyes. Family business. You. Same. They looked at each other and an understanding passed between them, both here for reasons they couldn't explain, both hiding in plain sight, both pretending to be something they weren't. We don't have to leave, Jisoo said. We could just stand here and mock the auction quietly. That does sound entertaining. I'm very good at mockery. It's one of my few talents. Only one? I'm also good at finding the best food in any city and arguing about movies. Those are oddly specific talents. I'm an oddly specific person. The auction continued around them. Abena should have walked away 10 minutes ago. She should have been doing her job, gathering information, focusing on her assignment. Instead, she was standing next to a man named Jisoo, talking about nothing important and feeling something she hadn't felt in months. She felt light. Tell me about the food thing, she said. His whole face changed when he smiled properly. Okay, so there's this place in Seoul, tiny restaurant in Mangwon, no sign outside, you'd walk right past it. Best kimchi jjigae in the entire country. Bold claim, true claim. I've tested it extensively. Extensively. I take food very seriously, apparently. They talked for 20 minutes about food, then another 20 about traveling, then somehow ended up in a discussion about whether movies were better in theaters or at home. Jisoo argued for theaters with the kind of passion most people reserved for actual important things. Abena found herself arguing back just to watch him get worked up. You're wrong, he said, but he was grinning. I'm not wrong. You're just nostalgic. Nostalgia is valid. Nostalgia is just being sad about the past. That's the most cynical thing I've ever heard. You haven't known me very long. Good point. Maybe you say more cynical things regularly. I absolutely do. 2 hours passed like 20 minutes. The auction was ending. People were standing, collecting their purchases, air kissing, and making plans for dinner. Abena had completely forgotten about the Nakamura family. She'd forgotten about her assignment. She'd forgotten about everything except this conversation with this strange man who made her laugh. I should go, she said, but she didn't move. Should you? I have things to do. Important things, allegedly. Jisoo looked at her for a long moment. Can I see you again? The question hung in the air between them. Abena knew what the answer should be. No, Absolutely not. She didn't do this. She didn't meet people and make plans and let them into her life. Her life wasn't hers to share. Yes, she heard herself say. His surprised smile was worth the risk. Can I have your number? This was the moment. This was where she should give him a fake number or make an excuse or disappear into the crowd. This was where training and common sense and 20 years of survival instinct should kick in. Abena pulled out her phone and told him her real number. He typed it in and called it immediately. Her phone buzzed in her hand. Now you have mine too, he said, very presumptuous. I'm checking to make sure you didn't give me a fake number. Why would I do that? Because you're smart and I'm a stranger, and this is probably a terrible idea. It is a terrible idea, Abena agreed. But you gave me your real number anyway. I did. Why? She looked at him. At this man she'd known for less than 3 hours, who felt more real than anyone she'd met in years. I have no idea, she said honestly. His text came through before she even made it to the lobby. Is this really your number? Or am I going to end up texting a stranger? Abena looked down at her phone and felt something flutter in her chest. She typed back quickly. Only one way to find out. 3 dots appeared immediately. Then, I'm willing to take that risk. She smiled at her phone like an idiot, standing in the middle of the hotel lobby while people in expensive clothes flowed around her. This was dangerous. This was stupid. This was the kind of mistake that would cost her everything if her father found out. She saved his number anyway. The driver was waiting outside. Same car, same silent treatment, same 3-hour drive back to Seoul. Abena climbed into the back seat and watched Busan disappear behind her. She should have been thinking about her failure. She'd completely forgotten the Nakamura family. Hadn't gathered any information. Hadn't even tried. Her father was going to ask questions, and she had no answers prepared. Instead, she was thinking about the way Jisoo had looked at that painting. The way he'd laughed when she said something sharp. The way he'd asked for her number like he was genuinely uncertain she'd say yes. Her phone buzzed again. What are you doing tomorrow? Tomorrow. Abena stared at the message. Tomorrow was Sunday. Her father expected her home. Expected her available. Expected her. Sitting in that compound waiting for the next assignment, like a weapon in storage. She typed, I might be free in the evening. Might be? I have to check something first. Mysterious. I like it. I'm not mysterious. I'm just busy. Busy being mysterious. It's okay. I can wait. She was smiling again. This was becoming a problem. The drive back felt longer than the drive there. Seoul appeared slowly. City lights. Replacing coastline buildings blocking out their sky. The car pulled through the compound gates at 8:30. Her father's office light was still on. Abena's stomach tightened. He was waiting for her report. She went to her room first, changed out of the dress, removed her makeup, put her mother's earrings carefully in her jewelry box. Then she walked downstairs to face the consequences. Her father was at his desk, reading something on his computer. He didn't look up when she knocked. Come in. She stepped inside and closed the door behind her. Well, he said, Abena had learned long ago that the best lies stayed close to the truth. The Nakamura son was drunk within an hour, sloppy, loud, not careful about what he said. And what did he say? Nothing useful. He spent most of the night trying to impress women and failing. His family kept him away from serious conversations. This was complete fabrication, but it sounded plausible. Jinho finally looked up from his screen. So you wasted an entire day. I made contacts. Other people who might be more useful later. Names. She rattled off 3 names of people she'd seen at the auction. People who looked important enough to be worth mentioning, but not so. Important. Her father would follow up immediately. He studied her face. She kept it neutral, bored even, like this whole trip had been tedious instead of life-changing. Next time do better, he said finally. Yes, father, you're dismissed. She left before he could ask more questions. Her mother's door was closed, but light showed underneath. Abena knocked softly. "Come in, baby." Amma was sitting in bed reading. She set the book down when Abena entered and patted the space beside her. Abena climbed onto the bed like she was 10 years old instead of 20. "How was it?" Amma asked. "Fine. Boring. Rich people being rich." "Did your father get what he wanted?" "No." Amma looked at her daughter's face and something shifted in her expression. But something happened. Nothing happened. "Abena, Ioma, I'm tired. You're lying. You get this look when you lie. Your left eye does a little thing." Amma touched the corner of Abena's eye gently. "What happened?" Abena wanted to tell her. Wanted to say, "I met someone and he made me laugh and I gave him my real number and I think I just made the biggest mistake of my life." But saying it out loud made it real, made it dangerous. "I just had a long day," she said instead. Amma didn't push. She just pulled Abena closer and kissed her forehead. "Get some sleep. Tomorrow is yours until your father needs you again." Tomorrow. Abena's phone felt heavy in her pocket. She went to her room and lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Her phone sat on the nightstand, screen dark. She should delete his number, should send a message saying this was a mistake, should protect herself before this got complicated. At 11:30, her phone lit up. Still thinking about that fake painting, she picked up the phone. "Why?" "Because you noticed it before I said anything. Most people wouldn't have looked that close. Most people don't need to." "Why do you need to?" Dangerous question. She typed and deleted 3 responses before settling on bad habit from a suspicious childhood. That's extremely relatable. You had a suspicious childhood too. Let's just say, I learned early that people lie and things aren't always what they seem. Cheerful. You started it with your cynical nostalgia comment. That was about movies. Everything is about everything if you're paying attention. Abena smiled in the dark. "That's extremely pretentious. I contain multitudes. Did you just quote poetry at me?" "Maybe. Did it work?" "I'm still texting you, so apparently, yes." She could almost hear him smiling through the phone. They texted until 2 in the morning. Nothing deep, nothing serious. Just back and forth about small things. Music and food, and the best neighborhoods in Seoul. He had opinions about everything, and wasn't afraid to be wrong. She found herself arguing just to see what he'd say next. At 2:15 he sent, "You should sleep, you should too. I will if you will, deal. Good night, Abena. Good night, Jisoo." She fell asleep with her phone still in her hand. The next morning, her father left early for a meeting. Her mother was in the garden. Abena had the house to herself for exactly 3 hours before she was expected at a family dinner. She texted Jisoo at 10. "I'm free this evening, 6 o'clock. His response came in seconds. "Yes, where?" "You pick. Somewhere loud." "Loud? I don't like quiet restaurants. Too much pressure." "Hongdae. There's a place near the university. Korean fusion. Always packed. Impossible to have a serious conversation. Perfect. See you at 6. Abena spent the afternoon in her room pretending to study, but actually trying on different outfits. This was ridiculous. She was trained in infiltration and information gathering and strategic manipulation. Getting dressed for a date shouldn't be this complicated. Except it wasn't just a date. It was the first choice she'd made entirely for herself in longer than she could remember. She settled on jeans and a simple sweater. Normal, like a normal 20-year-old meeting a normal person for normal dinner. She could pretend for one night. Getting out of the compound required lying. She told her mother she was meeting a friend from university. Amma looked skeptical but didn't ask questions. She told the driver she needed to go to a bookstore in Hongdae to pick up textbooks. He drove her without comment and she promised to text when she needed pickup. Then she was free, standing on a Hongdae street corner at 5:50, heart beating too fast. Jisoo appeared at exactly 6. He was wearing jeans and a jacket, and he smiled when he saw her like he'd been worried she wouldn't show up. "You came," he said. You sound surprised. I thought you might change your mind, decide I was weird. You are weird. I came anyway. That's fair, he gestured down the street. Restaurant is this way. Fair warning. It's extremely loud and the owner's mother works there, and she will judge everything you order. How is that a warning? That sounds entertaining. You say that now. The restaurant was exactly what he'd promised. Small, packed, noise bouncing off every surface. They got a table in the back corner, and an older woman appeared immediately, with menus and opinions. You're too skinny, she told Jisoo in Korean. Are you eating properly? Yes, Mrs. Kim. Liar. And who is this? This is Abena. Mrs. Kim looked at Abena with open curiosity. Very pretty. Too pretty for you. Are you sure you want to eat with him? Abena laughed, surprised and genuine. I'll risk it. Brave girl. I'll bring you the good banchan. She disappeared into the kitchen. Jisoo looked embarrassed. Sorry. She's very direct. I like her. She called me too skinny. You are too skinny. Not you too. They ordered food and fell into easy conversation. Easier than it should have been for two people who barely knew each other. Jisoo asked about her university studies, and she gave him the careful half-truths she'd prepared. International relations, focus on Asian economics, mostly online classes, all technically accurate, all missing the part where her father controlled every aspect of her education. Why online, he asked. Flexibility. I travel a lot for family things. What does your family do? Business, import-export, some investments. It's boring. She shifted the conversation quickly. What about you? What do you do when you're not critiquing fake paintings? His expression flickered, something careful sliding into place. Also business, also boring, also family. They looked at each other across the table, and an understanding settled between them. Both hiding something, both okay with not pushing.
What's that?
Let's make a deal, Jisoo said. No family talk, no work talk, just this, just us, right now, nothing else. It was the best offer she'd had in years. Deal. The food came in waves, Mrs. Kim brought out enough for 6 people and kept appearing with more. They ate and argued about everything. Jisoo thought Korean fusion was the future of dining. Abena thought it was just an excuse to charge more money. She tore his arguments apart with glee. You're very argumentative, he said, but he was grinning. You started it. I made one comment about food culture. A wrong comment. It wasn't wrong. It was extremely wrong. He laughed and reached for more kimchi. Okay, fine. Why was I wrong? She explained, probably more intensely than necessary, her theory about authenticity versus innovation. He listened with full attention, occasionally interrupting with counterpoints. The argument escalated playfully until Mrs. Kim appeared and told them they were disturbing the other customers. Sorry, they said in unison. She walked away shaking her head. We got scolded, Jisoo said. Your fault. How is it my fault? You're the one who picked the fight about fusion cuisine. You're the one who couldn't let it go. They were both smiling like idiots. After dinner, they walked along the Hongdae streets. Saturday night meant crowds of young people, street performers on every corner, music spilling from cafes and clubs. Abena felt invisible in the best way. Just another person in the crowd, not Park Jino's daughter, not a weapon, or a tool or a disappointment. Just Abena. Cold? Jisoo asked. She was, but she shook her head. He shrugged out of his jacket anyway and held it out. She took it because arguing seemed stupid when she was actually freezing. Thanks. You're welcome. They walked in comfortable silence for a while. Then Jisoo said, Can I ask you something? Maybe. Earlier you said you had a suspicious childhood. Were you serious or just being dramatic? Abena thought about how to answer. The truth was too complicated. The lie was too easy. My father is difficult, she said carefully. He has very specific ideas about how things should be. I learned early to pay attention, notice things, read situations. It made life easier. That sounds exhausting. It is. Do you live with him? Yes, with both my parents. At 20? Like I said, he's difficult, it's complicated. Jisoo nodded slowly. My father was difficult too, before he died. I'm sorry. Don't be, he was a terrible person. The world is better without him. He said it matter-of-factly, no emotion. My mother died when I was young. After that it was just him, and he made sure I knew everything was conditional. Love, approval, safety, all conditional. That's horrible. It was normal for me. You don't miss what you never had. He looked at her. But you understand that, I can tell. She did understand, more than he knew. They ended up at the Han River, sitting on a bench, watching the water reflect city lights. It was late, nearly midnight. Abena should have called her driver an hour ago. She'd get questions when she'd got home. But she stayed anyway. I like this, Jisoo said quietly. What? This? Talking to you, not performing. You perform a lot, constantly, don't you? Every single day. What would you do if you didn't have to perform? No one had ever asked her that. Abena thought about it, really thought. I'd learn to paint, she said finally. Real painting, not forgeries. I'd make things that were mine. I'd probably be terrible at it, but I wouldn't care. She paused. What about you? I'd open a restaurant. Nothing fancy, just good food and no pretension. I'd cook and argue with customers and probably go out of business in 6 months. That's extremely specific. I think about it a lot. They sat quietly for a moment. Then Abena said, we should both do those things. Yeah. Life is too short to only do what other people expect. That's very optimistic coming from someone who claims to be cynical. Maybe I'm not as cynical as I think. Jisoo shifted closer on the bench. Not touching but close enough that she could feel warmth from his shoulder. Can I see you again? You already asked me that. I'm asking again, officially. Can this be a thing? What kind of thing? Whatever kind of thing you want it to be. Coffee thing? Dinner thing? Sitting by rivers arguing about food thing? Abena knew what the smart answer was. Knew she should say no. This was nice, but it couldn't happen again. Her life was too complicated. Yes, she said, instead. He turned to look at her properly. Yes, it can be a thing. Whatever thing. His smile was slow and genuine and completely worth the risk. They stayed by the river for another hour. Finally, Abena called her driver, and Jisoo waited with her until the car arrived. Before she got in, he caught her hand. Thank you for tonight. I didn't do anything. You showed up. You were real. That's everything. She squeezed his hand once and climbed into the car. As they pulled away, she looked back. He was still standing there, watching her leave. Her phone buzzed before she made it home. When can I see you again? Wednesday. Wednesday is forever away. It's 3 days. Like I said, forever. She smiled in the dark car. You're dramatic. You like it, she did. That was the problem. The weeks that followed developed a pattern. They texted every day, saw each other twice a week when Abena could make excuses to leave the compound. They met in different neighborhoods, always places that were crowded and anonymous. Bookstores in Insadong, late-night restaurants in neighborhoods her father would never visit. Week 4, they spent 3 hours in a used bookshop arguing about authors. Jisoo liked dense philosophical novels. Abena preferred sharp contemporary fiction. You just like being depressed, she accused. I like thinking. You can think without reading 800 pages about nothing happening. Things happen. They're just internal. Boring. You have no appreciation for nuance. I have plenty of appreciation. I just think writers should get to the point. He bought her a book anyway, a contemporary novel by a Korean author she'd mentioned wanting to read. She tried to refuse. You don't have to do that. I know. I want to. Something warm spread through her chest. No one bought her things just because. Everything came with expectations, with strings, with price tags beyond money. Thank you, she said quietly. You're welcome. They went to his apartment after. Small place in Itaewon, 3rd floor walk up. Clean and sparse in the way of someone who did spend much time being home. No family photos. No personal touches except for a small collection of cooking books on a shelf. You actually cook? She asked, badly, but enthusiastically. That's worse than not cooking at all. Rude. I'm going to prove you wrong. He made dinner while she sat on the counter and mocked his technique. He was terrible at it, making mistakes at every step, but he laughed when she pointed them out and didn't get defensive. The food was barely edible, but they ate it anyway. See? Delicious, he said. That's not the word I would use. What word would you use? Brave. The meal is very brave. I'm filing for a new dinner companion. Too late. You're stuck with me. Something shifted in his expression. Yeah, I think I am. After dinner, they put on a movie. Some action film Jisoo promised was excellent, but turned out to be ridiculous. Abena fell asleep halfway through, exhausted from a long day of managing her father's mood. She woke up to Jisoo watching her instead of the screen. What? She said, groggy. Nothing. You looked peaceful. I don't think I've seen you peaceful before. She sat up, suddenly self-conscious. Sorry, I didn't mean to fall asleep. Don't apologize. Stay, if you want. It was past midnight. Her driver was waiting outside. She'd told him she was meeting a university friend for a late study session, but this was pushing credibility. I should go. I know, but stay anyway.
Nays.
She looked at him. At this man who bought her books and made terrible food, and looked at her like she was something precious instead of something useful. Okay, she whispered. She texted her driver that her friend was having a crisis and she was staying over. He responded with a simple confirmation. No questions. He'd report it to her father, but one night wouldn't raise serious suspicions. Jisoo gave her a shirt to sleep in and took the couch. She protested, but he insisted. My bed, my rules. You get the comfortable spot. She lay in his bed surrounded by sheets that smelled like him and felt safe for the first time in months. Actually safe. Not hypervigilant, not calculating exits. Just safe. She slept 7 hours without waking once. In the morning, Jisoo made breakfast which was somehow worse than his dinner. Burned eggs and toast that could double as a weapon. You're truly terrible at this, Abena said, and yet you keep eating it. I'm being polite. You're being a liar. They sat at his small table and ate terrible food, and it was the best morning she'd had in years. Week 8, everything changed. Her father needed her for an emergency meeting. Last minute, immediate. She was supposed to see Jisoo that night. She texted him an hour before. Something came up. I can't make it. His response took a few minutes. Everything okay? Yes, just family stuff. This is the 3rd time this month. Her stomach sank. She'd been cancelling too much, being too unpredictable. He was getting suspicious or hurt or both. Her phone rang. She stepped into her bathroom and locked the door before answering. Hey. What's going on? His voice was tight. I told you, family thing came up. Abena, are you seeing someone else? Because if you would just tell me, I can handle the truth. What? No, I'm not seeing anyone else. Then what? Because I'm here. I'm completely here. And I don't know if you are. She wanted to tell him everything. Wanted to explain that she was trapped and monitored and controlled. That every moment with him was stolen time. That she was drowning and he was air. But she couldn't figure out how to breathe without consequences. I can't explain, she said. He saw her voice cracked. Please trust me. Long silence on his end. I do trust you. That's the problem. I trust you, and I don't think you trust me back. I do trust you. Then prove it. Let me in, even just a little. She gripped the phone. My father is very controlling, and my mother depends on me. I can't just do what I want. How old are you? 20. Abena, you're an adult. You can leave. If only it was that simple. If only leaving didn't mean abandoning her mother. If only freedom wasn't a luxury she couldn't afford. Not in my family, please. This is the only thing in my life that's mine. Please don't take it away, because I can't explain everything right now. Silence. Then his voice softer. I'm not going anywhere, but I need you to know that whatever you're dealing with, I can handle it. When you're ready to tell me, I can handle it. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry about tonight. Don't be sorry. Just talk to me. That's all I'm asking. They hung up and she cried quietly in the bathroom where no one could hear. Week 12, she realized she loved him. It happened in a 24-hour cafe in Gangnam at 2 in the morning. Jisoo had some late work thing he wouldn't explain. She'd had a brutal day managing her father's temper. They met looking exhausted and found each other anyway. He ordered terrible coffee and she ordered tea. They sat across from each other, saying nothing important. The cafe was nearly empty. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Jisoo fell asleep at the table, headed, resting on his folded arms. She watched him breathe, watched his shoulders rise and fall, watched him be vulnerable and unguarded. And she understood suddenly and completely that she loved him. Not the careful, maybe love of someone testing boundaries, not the performance of affection, real love. The kind that made her want things she couldn't have, the kind that was going to cost everything. He woke up 20 minutes later, groggy. Sorry, long day. It's okay. What were you saying before? Nothing important. He reached across the table and took her hand. His fingers were warm. Stay with me tonight. I can't. Tomorrow. Maybe. I'll take maybe. They walked out into the cool Seoul night. He put his arm around her shoulders and she leaned into him. Jisoo? Yeah. When you said you could handle whatever I'm dealing with, did you mean that? He stopped walking and turned to look at her properly. Yes, even if it's really complicated. Even then, she nodded, not explaining further. He didn't push. I'll tell you soon, she said. I promise, whenever you're ready. They stood on the empty street and she memorized this moment. His face in streetlight, his hand warm on her shoulder, the feeling of being seen and chosen and loved. Because even if she hadn't said it out loud, she knew. And she thought maybe he knew too. The next Friday, her father called her to his office. She went down expecting another assignment. Instead, he was standing by the window looking satisfied in a way that made her nervous. There's a meeting tomorrow. Okay. An important meeting. The 5 families. All of them together. Her stomach dropped. The 5 families never met all together unless something major was happening. Territory disputes, major deals, serious threats. Why? She asked. Territorial adjustments, financial agreements, the usual politics. He turned to look at her. You'll attend. Take notes. Observe. Say nothing. Yes, father. The Shin family will be there, their new head. I thought Shin Minho died years ago, 2 years ago. Heart attack. Her father's tone suggested he didn't believe the heart attack story. His son runs operations now. Young, aggressive, dangerous. Shin Jisoo. The world stopped. Everything stopped. Her father was still talking, but she couldn't hear him. Blood rushed in her ears. Her vision tunneled. Shin Jisoo. Her father's oldest rival's son. The son who took over operations at 26. The son who ran one of the 5 families. The man she'd been seeing for 3 months. The man she loved. Are you paying attention? Her father snapped. Yes. Sorry. Shin Jisoo, I understand. Good. Tomorrow, 10 in the morning. Wear something professional. She left his office on autopilot, made it to her room, locked the door, sat on her bed staring at nothing. This wasn't possible. It couldn't be possible. Jisoo had said his father was dead, had said he did family business. But she'd never asked details, never pushed. They'd both been so careful not to look too close. She pulled out her phone, searched Shin Jisoo, found nothing. No photos, no press, no public record. Just like her, both of them ghosts in their own worlds. Her phone buzzed, thinking about you. It was from Jisoo. From the man who was either the biggest coincidence in history or the most elaborate trap her father had ever set. She stared at the message, typed and deleted 5 responses. Finally, thinking about you too. Because even if this was a trap, even if everything was about to explode, she loved him. And that was the biggest trap of all. The meeting room was in a hotel in downtown Seoul. Neutral territory. high security, the kind of place where dangerous people made dangerous agreements. Abena arrived with her father at 9:45. She wore a grey suit and her mother's earrings and every piece of armor she could construct. Her face was blank, her hands were steady. Inside she was screaming. The other families were already there. The Nakamuras, the Okonkwas, the Russos, all seated at the large conference table with their advisors and security. Abena took her position behind her father's chair. She catalogued exits, counted weapons, read body language, all the things she'd been trained to do. At exactly 10 o'clock, the door on the opposite side of the room opened. The Shin family, someone announced. 3 men walked in, 2, older, flanking the one in the middle, Jisoo. He wore a dark suit. His face was cold and composed. He moved with authority. Every inch the family head, every inch the dangerous man her father had described. Their eyes met across the room. She watched recognition hit him, watched shock flash across his face for half a second before he locked it down, watched him understand exactly what she'd understood the night before. They'd both been lying, both been hiding, both been living in borrowed time. The meeting started. People talked. Her father spoke. Jisoo responded in a voice she'd never heard before. Cold, professional, absolutely in control. She took notes automatically. Heard nothing. Wrote nonsense. No one checked her work. The meeting lasted 90 minutes. 90 minutes of sitting 3 meters from the man she loved while he negotiated with her father like they were enemies. Which they were. Their families had been enemies for a decade. Jisoo's father had died because of her father's business moves. This was not a coincidence. This was fate with a sick sense of humor. When the meeting finally ended, the families dispersed to separate rooms. Abena walked into the hallway, needing air, needing space, needing anything but this. Footsteps behind her. She knew who it was before turning. Jisoo stood 10 feet away. His face was no longer blank. He looked furious and hurt and betrayed. How long? His voice was low and tight. She couldn't speak. How long have you been playing me? Was any of it real, or was this your father's plan from the beginning? What? The word came out broken. Don't. I just sat across from Park Jinho while his daughter stood behind him, taking notes. You want me to believe you didn't know who I was? I didn't know. My family and yours have been at each other's throats for a decade. My father died because of your father's business moves, and you expect me to believe it's coincidence that you just happened to meet me? Just happened to give me your number? Just happened to fall into my life exactly when my family is vulnerable? I didn't know about your father. I didn't know any of this. Abena, I swear, my photos aren't anywhere. My father keeps me hidden. No press, no public records, nothing. I'm a ghost. I didn't know who you were. I didn't know your last name. We never told each other. Something flickered in his expression, but the anger was still there. If that's true, then this is worse, because now we're both screwed. People were coming down the hallway. He grabbed her wrist and pulled her into an empty office, locked the door behind them. They stood 2 feet apart. All the careful distance they'd maintained for 3 months collapsed into nothing. Tell me the truth, he said, right now, all of it. I didn't know who you were. Her voice cracked. I thought I could have one thing, just one thing that was mine, that he hadn't chosen or controlled or destroyed. I thought I could keep you separate from all this. How? How did you think you could keep this separate? I don't know. I wasn't thinking. I just wanted something real. This isn't real. This is a disaster. It was real to me. He stopped, looked at her properly, saw the tears she was trying to hold back. Abena, if he finds out about us, he'll take my mother. He'll move her somewhere I can never reach her. She's all I have. She's the only person who... She couldn't finish, couldn't breathe. 3 months of carefully constructed lies crashing down around her. Jisoo's expression changed. The anger shifted into something else. What do you mean, take your mother? He controls everything. Where she goes, who she talks to, Her passport is in his safe. She's been his prisoner for 21 years, and I'm the only reason she's still okay. And you? I'm his weapon. It's different, but not much. He stared at her like he was seeing her for the first time. How long? Always, my whole life. And you've tried to leave 4 times. Every time he punished her instead of me. So I stopped running and started planning. I thought if I got good enough, valuable enough, I could eventually construct my own exit. That's why you're so careful. Why you always check exits. Why you catalogue threats. Training. He made sure I knew how to survive his world. Jisoo ran a hand through his hair, paced the small office, turned back to her. He doesn't know about us? No, I never said your name. Never posted anything. I was so careful. Good. Then he's not going to out. Not before we fix this. There's no fixing this. Our families are enemies. I don't care about our families. He stepped closer. I care about you. Why? The question came out small and broken. His expression softened. Because you gave me your real number. Because you fell asleep on my couch. Because you argued with me about books like it actually mattered. Because in 3 months, you're the only real thing I've found in this entire world. I love you, she said. First time saying it out loud. I've known for weeks. I thought it would destroy everything. I was right. He pulled her against his chest, arms tight around her. She felt him shaking, or maybe she was shaking, or maybe they both were. I love you too, he said into her hair. And this isn't over. We're going to fix this. How? I don't know yet, but we're doing it together. Tell me everything about your father's operation. Tell me where your mother is. Tell me what you need. She pulled back to look at him. You're serious. Completely. This could destroy your family, could start a war. Then we'll handle it. But I'm not losing you. Not to him, not to any of this. She looked at this man who she'd met 3 months ago over a fake painting, who made terrible food and bought her books, and looked at her like she was precious instead of useful. Okay, she whispered. Okay. That night, they met at a small apartment in Yongsan. Jisoo brought 2 people. A woman named Minji with sharp eyes and sharper instincts. A man named Dae-sung, who looked like an accountant, and probably was. Both of them looked at Abena with open suspicion. You're sure about this? Minji asked Jisoo. Completely. Dae-sung studied Abena. You have access to your father's financial records. Some, not everything, but enough. Enough is a start. They spread papers across the small kitchen table. Abena provided information she'd spent years collecting. Security details, business partners, financial structures. Weaknesses her father didn't know he'd shown her. It felt like betrayal and freedom in equal measure. We need a 3-part plan, Jisoo said. Extract your mother, destabilize his finances, shift the family alliances. That's impossible in any reasonable timeline, Dae-sung said. We have 1 week. That's insane. It's necessary. The longer we wait, the more risk. Minji looked at Abena. Your mother, where exactly is she? The family compound. She has a room on the 2nd floor. There's security, but I know their patterns. Can you get her out? If I have help, and somewhere safe to take her. I have a place, Jisoo said. Incheon, near the water. No one knows about it except these 2. He'll look for her. Let him look, he won't find her. They planned until 3 in the morning. Every detail, every contingency, every risk. When Minji and Dae-sung finally left, Abena and Jisoo sat alone in the quiet apartment. Are you okay? He asked. I just gave you everything you need to destroy my father. Your father, not mine. He killed mine, remember? I didn't know that. I'm sorry. Don't be. You're not responsible for what he did. He took her hand. But you understand what this means. If we do this, there's no going back. I know. What do you want to happen? After. No one had ever asked her that. She thought about it. Really thought. I want my mother to have a garden. A real one where she can grow things from Ghana. I want to wake up without being afraid. I want to learn who I am when I'm not performing. She paused. I want you. If you still want me after all this. I want you. Whatever comes after, I want you in it. She leaned against him. Then let's burn it all down. Together? Together. Tuesday morning, Abena visited her mother's garden like she did every week. Normal routine. No one suspected anything. Ama was planting tomatoes. Her hands were dark with soil. She looked up when Abena approached and smiled. There you are. I was hoping you'd come. Abena knelt beside her mother in the dirt. Ioma, I need you to trust me. Ama's hands stilled. She looked at her daughter's face and saw everything. What is it? We're leaving today. Right now. 21 years of captivity held in the pause between heartbeats. Abena, your father won't be able to stop this, but we have to go now. What have you done? Something I should have done years ago. Please. Do you trust me? Ama looked at her daughter, 20 years old, terrified and determined and ready to fight. Always, she said. She stood, dirt on her knees. A lifetime of waiting ending in a Tuesday morning. Let me get my things. No time. Just you. They walked through the compound together. Abena's heart hammered against her ribs. Security nodded as they passed. Normal Tuesday. Normal garden appointment. Normal mother and daughter going to normal lunch. The car waited at the gate. Minji was driving. Abena helped her mother into the back seat and climbed in beside her. The gate opened. They drove through. Ama watched the compound disappear in the side mirror. Her hand found Abena's and squeezed. Who helped you? She asked in Twi. Someone I trust. The boy you've been seeing. Abena's head snapped around. How did you know? Ama smiled. You think I don't recognize that look? I wore it once. A long time ago. Her expression turned serious. Does he love you? He says he does. Do you believe him? Abena thought about Jisoo, about fake paintings and terrible cooking, and the way he looked at her like she mattered. Yes, I think I do. Then I trust your judgment. The safe house in Incheon was small and bright. Windows looked out over the water. Ama stepped inside and stopped. Just stopped and stared. I can hear the ocean, she whispered. Then she was crying. 21 years of captivity ending. 21 years of silence breaking. Abena held her mother while she sobbed. You're safe now, Abena said. I promise you're safe. Ama pulled back and touched her daughter's face. You did this. You really did this. We're not finished yet, but yes. What happens next? I go back. Act normal. Wait. That's dangerous, I know. But it's the only way. Ama gripped her hands. Your grandmother will be proud of you. Tell me about her. When this is over, tell me everything. I will. Every story. Abena stayed until Minji arrived with supplies, food and clothes, and everything Ama would need. Then she had to go back, had to maintain the performance for just a few more days. She hugged her mother one more time. See you soon, she whispered. Be safe, baby. Always. Wednesday, she returned to the compound alone. Her father was in meetings all day. Didn't ask about her mother. Didn't notice anything different. Thursday, the financial strikes began. Daesung's work. Anonymous tips to regulators. Documentation of irregularities. Nothing massive. Just enough to start freezing assets, creating doubt. Friday, the cascade started. 3 business partners received evidence of her father's plans to cut them out. Carefully worded, perfectly timed. Abena maintained her normal routine, sat through dinner with her father, answered his questions about university, smiled when required. Inside, she was counting hours. Saturday morning, her father got the call. Emergency meeting. All 5 families. Immediately. This was it. Abena dressed carefully, went downstairs. Her father was already furious. Someone leaked information, he said. Someone is trying to undermine my position. What kind of information? Financial dealings, private agreements. Things that should have been secure. He looked at her with cold suspicion. You haven't spoken to anyone about family business? Of course not. He studied her face. She kept it blank. Get ready. We leave in 20 minutes. The second meeting happened in the same hotel. Same room, same families. But everything was different. Evidence was presented. Documents showing her father's plans to consolidate power. Financial irregularities, broken agreements. The other families were furious. The Nakamuras withdrew their support. The Okonkwas demanded audits. The Russos froze joint accounts. Jisoo sat across the table calm and reasonable, positioning himself as the stable alternative, the trustworthy option, the future. Her father fought back, but the tide had already turned. A vote was called. Should Park Jinho step down pending investigation? 4 families voted yes. Abena watched her father's empire crumble in real time, felt nothing but exhaustion and relief. The meeting ended. Her father stormed out. Abena followed, knowing what came next. She found him in his office the next morning. Sunday. Early, she'd barely slept. He was standing by the window, turned when she entered. "Where is your mother?" "Safe!" His face darkened. "What?" "She's somewhere you'll never find her." Understanding crashed over him. Then, rage. "You did this, all of it." Abena stood straight. "What you trained me to do. I identified a target, found vulnerabilities, executed a plan." "You ungrateful?" She kept talking, voice steady. "The Nakamuras have documentation of your plans to undercut their territory. The Okonkwas have evidence of your financial manipulation. The Russos know about the shell companies. Your Singapore holdings are being audited. Your business partners all know you were planning to betray them. You gave them that information." "I did." His hand came up. She caught his wrist mid-air. They stood frozen, his hand suspended between them, her grip firm and unshaking. "No," she said quietly, "not anymore." She released his wrist and stepped back. "You made me into a weapon. You just never considered I might point myself at you. You are my daughter. I was your prisoner. That's different." She walked to the door. His voice stopped her. "You'll have nothing. No family. No home, no future." She turned back. "I have everything that matters. You made sure I wouldn't want anything you could give." She left. Walked out of that office, out of that house, out of his life. Freedom in every step. Abena walked out of her father's house and didn't look back. Her hands were shaking. Her whole body was shaking. She'd just done the one thing she'd been too terrified to do for 20 years. She'd said no to Park Jinho's face and walked away. The car was waiting 3 blocks away. Minji driving. Abena climbed into the back seat and said, "Go." They drove in silence for 10 minutes before Abena's phone rang. Unknown number. She knew who it was before answering. "You think you've won?" Her father's voice was cold and controlled. "You think taking your mother and embarrassing me in front of the families means anything? It means you have no power over me anymore. I will always have power over you. You're mine. Your mother is mine. I made you and I can unmake you. Try it." She hung up. Her hands were still shaking. "He's going to come after us," she said to Minji. "I know. Jisoo knows. We're ready." The Inchin house felt too small suddenly, too exposed. Her mother was in the garden when they arrived. She looked up and saw Abena's face. "What happened?" "I told him. I told him everything and I left." Amma stood and pulled her daughter into her arms. "Then it's really over." "Not yet. He's angry. He's going to do something. Let him try. We're not alone anymore." That night, Jisoo arrived with 4 of his people. They positioned themselves around the house, standing guard, waiting. "He'll send someone," Jisoo said. "Probably tonight. Probably his most loyal people." "How do you know?" "Because it's what I would do. Strike fast before his enemies can consolidate. Make an example." Abena looked at him. "You don't have to do this." "Yes, I do." They came at 2 in the morning. Abena was awake when she heard the first shout outside, then sounds of fighting. She ran to the window and saw 3 men trying to get past Jisoo's guards. Her mother appeared beside her. "Stay inside," Abena said. Not a chance. The fight was brief and brutal. Jisoo's people were better trained and better prepared. Within 5 minutes, all 3 men were on the ground, unconscious or injured or both. Jisoo came inside with blood on his knuckles. and a cut above his eye. They're handled. You're hurt. I'm fine. They're worse. Minji appeared in the doorway. We have a problem. One of them talked. Your father has a backup plan. If the extraction failed, he was going to disappear. Go underground. Wait for what? Until we relax. Then come back and finish this. Abena felt cold. So we're just supposed to live in fear, always looking over our shoulders? No, Jisoo said. We end this permanently. The next morning news broke across Seoul's financial channels. Park Jinho was being investigated for fraud, money laundering, illegal operations spanning a decade. Evidence had been submitted to authorities. Evidence so detailed and damning that even his remaining allies couldn't protect him. Daesung's work, everything he'd collected over the past 2 weeks, delivered to exactly the right people. By noon, there was a warrant for Park Jinho's arrest. By evening, he was in custody. Abena watched the news coverage with her mother, saw her father in handcuffs being led into a police station. His face was blank, but his eyes were furious. It's over, Amma whispered. It's really over. But Abena couldn't shake the feeling that it wasn't, that men like her father didn't end this easily. She was right. 4 days later, Jisoo called at 6 in the morning. Abena answered on the first ring. He's out. She sat up in bed. What? Your father? He escaped during a transfer between facilities. 2 guards injured. He had help from the inside. Where is he? We don't know yet. We're looking. But Abena, he's desperate now. Desperate men are dangerous. She got up and went to her mother's room. Amma was already awake, sitting on her bed looking worried. You heard, Abena said. Minji told me. She's downstairs adding more security. They spent the day in careful tension, waiting for news, waiting for something to happen. The house felt like a cage again, different bars but still trapped. That evening Abena's phone rang. Unknown number again, she answered. What do you want? To talk. Her father's voice was rough, tired. Just talk, you and me. I have nothing to say to you. I'm your father. You were my jailer. That's not the same thing. Silence on the line. Then I gave you everything. Education, training, purpose. You would be nothing without me. I would be free without you. That's better than everything. You ungrateful little. She hung up. 2 hours later, Minji burst into the house. He's coming. We tracked his phone signal from that call. He's 20 minutes away. Jisoo was there in 10 minutes with more people. They formed a perimeter around the house. Abena wanted to run, wanted to take her mother and disappear, but she was tired of running. I'm staying, she said. Abena, her mother started. I'm staying. I'm not afraid of him anymore. The cars arrived just before midnight. 3 of them. Her father got out of the middle one, looking worse than she'd ever seen him. Disheveled, angry, desperate. Jisoo stepped forward. That's far enough. This is between me and my daughter. Your daughter is under my protection now. You want to get to her. You go through me. Park Jinho laughed. You're a child playing at power. Your father was weak and you're weaker. My father is dead because of you. I've been waiting for a chance to return that favor. They faced each other in the dark. 2 men representing 2 families, 2 generations of hatred. Then Abena stepped outside. Stop. She walked past Jisoo, past the guards, until she stood 10 feet from her father. You wanted to talk, so talk. He looked at her, really looked. Come back, you and your mother. I'll forget this happened. We'll start over. No, you're throwing away your future, your family, everything. I'm choosing my future. That's not the same as throwing it away. I'm your father. You were someone who controlled me, who hurt me, who kept me prisoner for 20 years. That's not a father. That's just a man who happened to contribute DNA. His face twisted. You owe me respect. Respect is earned. You never earned anything from me except fear, and I'm done being afraid. He moved toward her. Jisoo stepped between them immediately, but Abena held up a hand. Let him come. Her father stopped 3 feet away, close enough that she could see the rage in his eyes, the disbelief. that she was defying him. The moment he raised his hand, she caught his wrist, just like in his office. But this time, they were standing on her ground, her choice, her terms. "You don't touch me anymore," she said quietly. "You don't control me anymore. You don't own me anymore. I'm done." She released his wrist and stepped back. Behind her father, police cars appeared, lights flashing. Someone had called them, probably Minji. Park Jinho looked at the cars, then at his daughter. "This isn't over." "Yes, it is." The police took him. This time there would be no escape. Too much evidence. Too many witnesses. Too many families who wanted him gone. Abena watched until the cars disappeared. Then her legs gave out. Jisoo caught her before she hit the ground. "I've got you," he said. "Is it really over?" "It's really over," she cried then. 20 years of fear and pain and survival pouring out all at once. Her mother came out and held her. Jisoo held them both. They stayed like that until Abena had nothing left. The weeks after were strange. Her father was formally charged with dozens of crimes. The trial would take months, but the outcome was certain. He would spend the rest of his life in prison. This time, there would be no escape. Abena should have felt relief. Instead, she felt empty, like she'd been running towards something for so long that stopping felt wrong. "Give it time," her mother said. They were in the garden together, planting new seeds. "Your body needs time to understand it's safe now. How long did it take you?" "I'll tell you when I get there." They both smiled at that. Jisoo visited every few days. He had his own empire to run, but he made time. They would sit on the porch and talk about small things. Nothing heavy, nothing serious, just existence. "I want to start the foundation," Abena said one evening. "Help people like me and Ioma." "Okay, you're not going to ask if I'm ready." "Are you ready?" "I don't know, but I want to try anyway. Then we'll try." A month after her father's arrest, Abena went back to Seoul, not to hide but to build. She rented a small office in Itaewon with Jisoo's help, hired Minji as security, found a lawyer who understood their world. The foundation started small. One woman escaping a bad marriage, then 2, then 5. Each case was complicated and painful and worth it. 3 months after the arrest, Abena's father was sentenced, 15 years minimum. She didn't attend the trial, didn't need to see him again. Her mother went though, sat in the gallery and watched justice happen. "How do you feel?" Abena asked when Emma came home. Free, finally completely free. 6 months after everything ended, Abena stood in her office looking at photos on the wall. Women they'd helped. Not faces, just hands holding symbols of freedom. Flowers, books, new identification papers. Her phone buzzed. Message from Jisoo. "Dinner tonight? I promise not to cook." She smiled and typed back, "Your cooking has improved, liar. See you at 7. That evening, she locked up the office and walked to Jisoo's apartment. He opened the door looking nervous. "What's wrong?" she asked. "Nothing's wrong. Come in." The apartment was different. He'd added things. Photos of them together. A painting she'd mentioned liking. Books she'd recommended. "You redecorated. I made it ours. If you want it to be ours." She looked at him. "What are you asking? Move in. For real this time. Not eventually. Now, Jisoo, I know you need time. I know you're still healing. But I want you here. I want mornings and nights and all the boring parts between. I want to build a life with you." She thought about it. About the Inshan house, where her mother was thriving. About this apartment where Jisoo was offering her a home. About the foundation where she was building purpose. "Okay," she said. "Okay, yes, I'll move in." His smile was bright enough to hurt. He pulled her close and kissed her. When they broke apart, he was still smiling. "I love you," he said. "I love you too." They ordered takeout because he really couldn't cook despite his protests. They ate and talked about the future. About the foundation growing. About legitimate business. Jisoo was building separate from family operations. About normal lives they were constructing piece by piece. Later, they lay on his couch, tangled together, half watching a movie. Are you happy? Jisoo asked quietly. Abena thought about it. Really thought. I'm getting there. Some days I wake up and forget I'm safe, but more days I remember. That's progress. That's definitely progress. What about you? I'm happy right now, in this moment. With you, that's enough. She kissed him. Soft and certain. That's enough for me too. 1 year after walking out of her father's house, Abena stood in her mother's garden in Incheon. The space had transformed. Plants from Ghana grew beside Korean vegetables. Flowers bloomed in chaotic, beautiful patterns. Amma was on her knees in the dirt, humming a song from her childhood. She looked up when Abena approached. There you are. Help me with these tomatoes. Abena knelt beside her mother. They worked in comfortable silence, just being, just existing without fear. I'm proud of you, Amma said eventually. You took something terrible and made it beautiful. The foundation, your life with Jisoo, everything. You didn't just survive. You actually lived. I learned from you. You survived 21 years and came out still able to sing. We're both stronger than we knew. They finished the planting and sat on the small bench overlooking the water. The ocean was calm today. Sun bright, air warm. What's next for you? Amma asked. More foundation work. Maybe expand to other cities. Jisoo and I are talking about legitimizing his family business completely. It'll take years. But we want to try, she paused. What about you? My sister is coming to visit next month. She wants me to come back to Ghana for a few weeks. See home again. Will you go? I think so. Not to stay. This is my home now. But to visit. To remember where I came from. Amma took her daughter's hand. Will you be okay without me? I'll miss you. But yes, I'll be okay. They sat together watching the water. Mother and daughter. Both free. Both healing. Both building futures on their own terms. Abena's phone buzzed. Message from Jisoo. Come home when you're ready. I made dinner. She showed her mother. Amma laughed. Is it edible? Probably not. But I'll eat it anyway. That's love. Yeah, I guess it is. Abena stayed another hour, then kissed her mother goodbye and drove back to Seoul. Back to the apartment she now shared with Jisoo. Back to the life she was building piece by piece. When she walked in, the smell of burning food hit her immediately. Jisoo was in the kitchen looking frustrated. Don't say anything, he said. I wasn't going to say anything. You were thinking it, maybe. He laughed and pulled her close. How's your mother? Good, happy. Planning a trip to Ghana. That's great. They ordered takeout again and ate on the couch. Normal evening, normal life. Normal in the best possible way. Later, lying in bed, Abena stared at the ceiling and thought about everything that had brought her here. 20 years of captivity. 4 escape attempts. 3 months of stolen happiness. 1 final confrontation. She'd been built into a weapon. Shaped and sharpened and aimed at targets she didn't choose. Now she was building herself into something else entirely. Something softer but stronger. Something that helped instead of hurt. Something completely hers. It was slow work. Some days she still checked locks twice. Still catalogued exits. Still waited for punishment that never came. But more days she just lived. Laughed with Jisoo. Built the foundation. Planted gardens with her mother. Existed without permission. She was learning what freedom felt like. It felt like this, like ocean sounds, and terrible cooking and morning light through windows that opened all the way. Like choosing and being chosen. Like building instead of breaking. Like home. Jisoo stirred beside her. You're thinking too loud. Sorry. What are you thinking about? How far we've come. How far we still have to go. We'll get there. Together. Promise? Promise? She turned toward him and he pulled her close. Safe, chosen, free. For the first time in her life, Abena believed in forever. Not because it was guaranteed, but because it was possible. And possible was enough.